Title rates market trim losses after pause to Trump mix. What? This shit crazy. Saints so busy. This some bullshit. Okay, let's see what this will say. Trump tariffs trigger stock slump. Dollar rise on trade war fears. European shares slid on Monday, joining a worldwide sell-off driven by concerns that U.S. President Trump's tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China are just the opening salvo in a global trade war that would curb economic growth internationally. Bear with me for a second. It's the book of Matthew chapter 24 and verse 6, I believe. And it reads, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Kol Loyim La Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rachag Wadash. I say double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of the other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth to you. I say shalom. It's the brother Yawasop, and I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Bashmi Shah. This lesson is inspired by an article I saw, but also a brother, I'm not going to name no names or no channels, but a brother that pretty much did a lesson on understanding tariffs and whatnot, and it was spiritual because, he was going into pretty much just checking into certain stuff, and he was going into how tariffs, increasing tariffs doesn't create inflation. And in actuality, he's absolutely right. As well as something else he said. He said something about pretty much, he said he believes Mexico and Canada are going to secede to Babylon the Great, aka America's. What Trump is doing, he's doing everything from a perspective of a businessman, which is this, this place is crashing. The beloved elder just did a video about talking about this zombie corporation known as Babylon the Great, and what DJ Trump's motive is he's trying to maximize as much profit as he can for the slow demolition of this place. This place is crashing, but he's trying to basically crash it or dismantle it progressively, because they want to bring in a new system, but they also want to maximize all they can get from this declining and crashing old system. So a trade war, it says, a situation in which countries try to damage each other's trade, typically by the imposition of tariffs or quota restrictions. Now, the Spirit had it where I actually did a lesson. The Spirit jumped on me to go look into certain things about like what caused the last Great Depression. Now, tariffs is nothing new, and the brother was going into that. Look at this shit. Satan is busy as a motherfucker. Salaki. Look at this. Like, it shouldn't be doing this. Okay, Salaki. Tariffs is nothing new. Tariffs actually have been around many a times. A tariff is simply a tax. And I'm going to get that real quick. In the book of, I don't know what that is, but in the book of Luke. It's the book of Luke, chapter 2. And it says, verse 1, "And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child." So that's one taxing. Then when you go into, the book of Acts, I forgot where is that. Trying to rush because it's been a day. Acts chapter 5 and verse 37. It says, because it was such a great taxing at the time, This account that pretty much it was a rebellion. I'm gonna start at verse 36, Acts 5:36. For before these days rose up Thaddeus, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who were slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. And I believe this is the account when Paul was locked up, and you had the Roman guard that basically mistook Paul for this individual, if I'm not mistaken. Verse 37, after this man rose up Judas of Galilee in the days of in the days of the taxing, and drew away much people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. So pretty much the taxing was so great at that time, people were rebelling, and they're about to do something similar. That's why you got all these different IRS agents. You got DJ Trump talking about starting a external revenue service, because I guess he's going to try and go after the businesses that are still located in America but pretty much produce their products overseas. So it wasn't necessarily a tariff that pretty much caused an inflation. It was a number of things that caused the Great Depression. It was the stock market crashing for one, and it was war and a number of things. Tariffs contributed to the Great Depression by making it harder for the United States to recover from the economic downturn. Now, from a businessman's perspective, DJ Trump is pretty much bringing these tariffs in order to stimulate the economy. But the thing is, the tariffs affect the consumer. The only way it doesn't affect the consumer is if the consumer doesn't buy it. It'll affect the company that's selling it. But if it's certain things that need to be bought, and pretty much Babylon the Great doesn't produce anything like that, let's see how this is going to work out. Now, the brother was absolutely correct. He said he looking at it like DJ Trump is using a chess move. And what took place is, in order for Mexico, like this just came out like maybe an hour ago, right before I went to lunch. It said pretty much Mexico offered to send 10,000 troops to the border in order to not pay the tariffs. So I'm pretty sure you're going to do something similar with Canada. And you got to understand, Canada and Mexico are subsidies of Babylon the Great. So pretty much Babylon the Great gives them all this money, that benefits their economies. So it says the Smooth-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930s increased tariffs on agricultural imports, which led to a decline in world trade and a worsening of the Great Depression. Tariffs and international trade. The Smooth-Hawley Tariff Act increased tariffs on agricultural imports, which led to a decline in world trade. Other countries responded by imposing their own restrictions on international trade, which pretty much is probably going to be NATO that's going to do, because you got to remember, like I said again, some of our heaviest trading partners is Mexico and Canada, but the elder was bringing out like Babylon the Great pretty much imports like 70% of its oil from Canada. But you got DJ Trump making bold statements talking about, it's Canada's rich in resources. So I don't know what the fuck that's about. And then you got that guy that's the prime minister of Canada pretty much stepping down. So, then he's talking about pretty much making the Panama Canal and the Greenland part of America. It's a lot going on. So, what did I want? Brought out all that. I swear I think this is it. It says President Trump is moving forward with extensive tariffs on America's closest trading partners. Beginning Tuesday, companies bringing products into the United States from Canada and Mexico will pay a 25% tariff. Importers bringing products in from China will pay an additional 10% on top of existing levies. And you got China, Canada, and Mexico all saying that they was going to retaliate. Now, maybe Mexico and Canada will pretty much bow the knee, but China probably more than likely is not. It says, who pays for tariffs up front? A tariff is an extra surcharge put onto a good when it comes into the United States. It's the so-called importer or record. The company is responsible for importing that product that physically pays tariffs to the federal government. So pretty much it's the company's responsible for importing that product. But in actuality, it's the consumer that pays the higher because I forgot how they explain it, but pretty much if, say for instance, I'm a company that deals with a foreign company like a Moabite or a Chinese company, I've already paid them. You get what I'm saying? So in order for me to make a profit, I pretty much got to raise the price of the product. So ultimately, it's going to be the consumer that's going to get hit over the head with all this. What is that? I had Zephaniah, but I'm going to probably just get Habakkuk chapter 2 and call it a day. Habakkuk chapter 2. This is the book of Habakkuk chapter 2. And starting at verse, I'm going to get the point because I got to go. This is the verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. To him is Esau Edom, this red Hebrew Edomite. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with the clay. And when you go into that word clay, it's abatya, meaning heavy debts or heavy pledges or heavy debts. And the U.S. dollar is a debt note. You know, fiat currency is a debt note. And the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency, although you got, you know, nations like the BRIC nations that's trying to circumvent that, trying to go around it. And to a degree, I've been hearing certain elders bring out that, you know, that's the whole purpose of them creating the BRICS nations, because when, you know, this financial system that they created with the SWIFT system and whatnot, you know, it penalized those that pretty much Babylon the Great, aka America, shunned upon. But now, because they created, you know, these different trading partners, they can go beyond and around the dollar. But, you know, showing you the power of this U.S. dollar is hard to bypass. You know, like brother was saying, pretty much based on them just putting the tariffs on it affected our stock market. And that's what I was going to bring out Zephaniah chapter 1, because it talks about a great crashing of the hills. Matter of fact, let me get it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the part. Oh, Salaki, come on. Ain't that something? This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 1 and verse 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, and there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, which is the marketplace, that a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills, which that's the crashing of that market, because a hill represents like a government. You know, mountains represent big governments, hills represent smaller governments. How ye inhabitants of Mektesh, for all the merchants people are cut off, all they that bear silver are cut off, because the money gonna fail, like it talks about in the book of Ezekiel chapter 7, and the point is verse 19, and it reads, Ezekiel 7 verse 19, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquities. And when you go into the book of James chapter 5 and verse 1, it reads, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Verse 3, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. But this treasure, you know, again, I was speaking on something earlier, you know, somebody I know very well. And it's crazy because my dad did the same thing, and I'm so glad the Lord called Hashem Yahushua actually dealing with me, because, you know, I could have been very well the same type of person. People trying to hold on to the wealth of this world when the scriptures tell you, lay up your treasures in heaven. They ain't about to switch the system. The little shit you got here is not going to matter. None of that shit. You know, scriptures talk about in the book of Proverbs, riches profit not in the day of wrath. And we all about to witness that. But it's righteousness that deliver from death. So, you know, I say bring it on, you know what I mean? But it was so spiritual, showing you how cold the Lord is. You got all these brothers that's just so gifted and know so much knowledge. I mean, the brother called it word for word. I mean, he just said it today, and then they was like, oh, no, we succeed. We going to see it. So, and you can see, if you got the spiritual ourselves, that pretty much that's laying the groundwork for that border wall. So this shit about to go down. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Simple Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to go back to the laws, to the statutes, and to the commandments of your power. The true name of the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Loyim La Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakahakadash. I want to say double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim, plus the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Until next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom, kwam yasharala, mawathalababal.